my name is Margaret Riley, and my speech is titled Family and Technology. Have you ever wondered why communication in family is so drastically different now as compared to the 1980s or even the 1960s? Well, we can thank technology for that. The reason why you should listen is because technology is rapidly changing, and so we need to keep up with technology. You should listen to me because I interviewed somebody about this who has seen technology and family communication change over time, and I even have 3 other sources to back me up on what I have to say. So my thesis statement is that technology can either positively or negatively impact family communication. So my first point is that technology can positively impact family communication. Technology can negatively impact family communication, and that technology can impact verbal and nonverbal messages. So now let's talk about the positives. Technology can positively impact family communication because of its flexibility. Because we have cell phones now, it's so much easier to get a hold of whoever we need to get a hold of in our family without any barriers. So according to DeWitt and Roker in their study, the parents have reported that there's a lot more flexibility with communication and that they actually prefer it because no matter where they are, what time it is, they can get a hold of their children. And Nancy, she said that even though that there were pay phones back in the day, there were still some issues because there was a lack of flexibilities, because you need to know where a payphone was and you needed to have money to use the payphone. So now that we've talked about the positives, let's move on to the negatives. So technology can negatively impact family communication because video games are isolating, and so is being on your laptops. It's no longer an integration then with family. Because it's so isolating, there's a lack of communication in the family. So according to Jennings, basically because technology is and video games is an isolation activity and they're not in the same room as their parents, there's a lack of communication and it just doesn't bring a communal factor into the family. And Nancy said that yes, even though there was technology back in the day such as televisions, families could really only afford one TV at a time. So since they only have one TV, it would be out in the living room in the communal space, and families would sit and watch TV together. So now that I've talked about the negatives, let's talk about how family communication impacts verbal and nonverbal messages. So because we have texting now, technology, there's a lot more room for misunderstandings when it comes to family communication because there is a lack of tone and expression along with it. So when we have texting, it's open to interpretation on whatever you read, unless like they use emojis. But let's just consider this without emojis. So Pasricha said in his study that because there's a lot more room for error in the interpretation of these messages, because there's no nonverbal communication along with these messages, there's a lot more room for misunderstandings with them. And back in the day, according to Nancy, there was minimal misunderstandings. Despite letters being there, but because communication with families were in person or over the phone, there was that tone and expression to accompany whatever they were saying. So if you were talking to your parent, you understood exactly like what the message was trying to get across, and even the subtext of it. So now that I've talked about all 3 of those points, let's just do a quick recap of what I just talked about. So technology can positively impact family communication. Technology can negatively impact family communication, and technology can impact verbal and nonverbal messages. And my thesis statement, once again, is technology can positively and negatively impact family communication over time, and that will continue to change over time as long as technology is changing over time. And even though technology is changing over time, it will be our responsibility to make sure that we either let technology positively impact our communication in our family or even negatively impact our family within communication. Okay.